I already did it.
Oh. All right. All right. I'm sorry. Did you say you already hit record? Okay, my bad. So that's why I couldn't find it. All right. Well, today we want to spend the first piece of this meeting discussing and kind of follow up from the summit. Obviously, the summit was a great event. It very much impacted me, not only just getting to spend that time with you all in person and the time we spend together, but the lineup this year I just thought was a home run. We are putting all of the videos together. We have all the talks. I think you've already gotten a link to the presentations, but we recorded everything. We have all the talks. We're going to get that out shortly. We're also going to be putting out a survey as well to help us to get feedback from you, so you'll help us prepare for next year. We are doing this again next year. I have the dates. It's October 25th through 28th, so please mark that in your calendar. It's the same week as this year, just move it forward a year. We're going to do it again at the AC Hotel. We're not going to be meeting. We're going to be changing the rooms up a little bit. So our meeting rooms are going to change, and we're actually getting a much nicer venue now there at the AC. Next year, of course, we're going to change the focus a little bit from being heavily speaker-driven to more collaborative-driven, and there's some exciting news coming out on that. But I did get a confirmation that Bryan Gallery is going to come back and speak, which, based on the initial feedback that we've gotten so far, it sounds like he was one of the best, received speakers out there. So what we want to do is let's just go ahead and take maybe the next 30 minutes here, go around the room, and I'm going to ask everyone to share from the summit. Oh, by the way, any questions about next year at all from anyone before we move forward, or anything? Anybody? So October 25th through 28th, arrive that Sunday. We're going to do that. We'll probably stick with the barbecue there Sunday night there at Lewis. We got a lot of good feedback there. And then we'll do that Monday, Tuesday, head out on Wednesday. But any feedback or thoughts or anything from anyone at all? Nope. Excellent. All right. So today, I'm going to ask that we'll go around the room and share share your biggest takeaway, and either something that you've implemented since the event or that you're planning on implementing. So who'd like to start?
I'll start, Brian. It's Brian Dick, Merrimack Wealth Management. Welcome. How's everybody doing? Great to see everybody at the summit. Enjoyed it. Our whole team was down there. We had a great time. I think still trying to wrap our arms around everything that we learned. There's a bunch of good things, but I think really just one thing that we've started to do, at least I did, and some of my team is Bryan Gallery. He was pretty good, right? So you just mentioned that. So to pile on that, we've started asking in client reviews and in meetings, we started to do that professional center of influence. So we've been asking for names of accountants and lawyers, and that seems to be kind of working pretty good for us. So we're trying to line up some appointments with those centers of influence and trying to stick to the script and things like that. So we got to round that out, but we've taken that and kind of run with it. We feel that could really help grow our business. So that's one thing that we're doing. There's other things we want to implement, like I thought the summit was kicked off with a very energetic speaker about AI. Good looking guy. So that was
really
pretty
good looking guy.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. So it's opened our mind to using those tools to help build our business, and it opened our eyes to looking at the various tools, not just Chat GPT.
Right.
So that's what I want to share with today. And I'll speak for my guys, Kevin and Matt, JT, and Tim, unless they want to chime in. You guys, anything that want to chime in? You don't have to, but I feel I'll just wrap that up. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ra.
You're,
Appreciate
you're,
that.
you're welcome, BB.
All right. I'll go ahead and go next. For me, I thought Gallery, I heard Gallery speak many, many years ago, and to be able to get him here and really talk about that COI strategy and we just actually just met with the parallel advisors yesterday, and I hope both uh, Peyton, are you on the call? Well, I hope some of them can share because some of them have already started to do some of some of the COI work already. Peyton's really gone through it. I know Justin and David are doing some as well. So it'd be really cool to hear from y'all on that. But that's been really neat. And it was just really cool getting him back. He's going to come back next year. I don't know if you remember the first slide he showed. He showed those 8 human behaviors, right? And I asked him, can you come back next year and just talk to us about 8 human behaviors? And so he's agreed to do that, which I think is really good, right? Because even though we talk about numbers and finance and things like that, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with people's emotions, and being able to present in that way, is I think extremely important. But for me, that was very impactful. And I'll just share one more thing. Uh, when Carmine talked about getting that 10-year vision down, and then we all got back in the room, and he's like, all right, now that's your 3-year vision. That was a bit unsettling for me. But the thing, and I'm not sure, I mean, I think I can get close to what my 10-year vision is in 3 years. But I tell you one thing that I've really spent a lot of time doing over the past couple of weeks is, when he made that when he talked about growth through elimination and really evaluating, and I think this is a good time of the year, right? It's end of the year. As we get into the next year and think about goals and all this other kind of stuff and strategic planning, I would encourage you because this is having a big impact on me is what do I need to eliminate right now? Like, what are the things that I'm doing that are good, but not great, that are going to get me to the goal that I'm trying to get to much quicker? Because there are a lot of things in my life, there's a lot of things that I'm doing that are good. They're not bad things, right? But they're certain, are they really helping me achieve what I need to achieve and move in the direction that I need to move? And that's been really powerful for me. So I'll stop there. Who wants to go next? Come on.
I'll go next.
Thanks, Randall.
Yeah. Enjoyed the summit. It was wonderful getting to be with everybody and getting caught up with my own team that I don't see very often at all. I look forward to that every year. I was really impacted by the Sharon Moston's stuff on websites and social media and all that stuff, and have subsequently had a conversation with her, and moving forward with getting my business listed on Google Maps and looking at website refinement and my Spotify advertisements and the landing page and everything. So that's what it's done. My biggest takeaway was odd. So often you get away and you can think about things that you don't normally have time, or you just don't make energy to think about. And what I'm pretty sure I heard from God during the first day was stop looking for a junior advisor in Houston. Look for one in Knoxville, because that's where you want to move. Also, Knoxville is a far more target-rich environment for what we do with our BRI portfolios compared to Houston, Texas. So that was a big aha moment for me, and it was exciting enough for me to call my wife and say, wow, guess what? So all in all, excellent stuff. Totally worth the time, the energy, the money. Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Peyton, I see that you're on the call. Are you still here, Peyton?
Yeah, sorry, had a client call in the middle of been waiting on.
Can you share with the group what you're doing right now, what you shared with us yesterday? Because I think that's really good. I like Peyton has really taken this COI thing, and yeah, share the numbers, go for it. And it's only been
Yeah.
what, just a few weeks here since we had our meeting. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'll report back to you guys when the first dollar hits. That'll be a big day. But for now, what I did is I had I've got a couple CPAs that I already know, my personal CPA, and then I've got a couple lawyers that I know, or they have tried to send me business. We're working on some stuff. So I already had some kind of warm conversation, but as it is, my current client base needs something a little different. And so it's kind of evolving. So I said, okay, I'm not going to go to my clients just yet because I kind of know who they work with already. I'm going to go straight to CPAs and lawyers and ask them for an opposite. So, hey, Mr. CPA, who's a lawyer you know in estate plan? Oh, it's these people. Okay, great. Can I make an introduction using your name and you connection? Yeah, sure, absolutely. So started with that. Went to a lawyer, asked him first, hey, can you give me a CPA or a couple CPAs? Well, what are you looking for? So then he gave me three different CPAs for three different reasons, kind of give me some specialties and details on them. And so each of these are giving me information as I asked. It was a lot easier. It wasn't closed off. It wasn't cold. They were just like, yeah, absolutely. We would love to, I'd love to tell you who I work with or somebody else you need to know. So started out with just two, if you will. Actually three, another lawyer that I had just met with recently prior to the summit. So two lawyers, one's in estate planning, and does M&A work, the other's estate planning. And then the CPAs here locally, they're between Spartanburg and Greenville. So I started those three and asked them, and they each gave me 2 to 4 names, just depending on the person. So I went from 3 people. I've now got, I'm doing the math as we're talking, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay, 15, 16. Got almost 20 names out of that conversation, those conversations. I would say 16 names of those conversations. Um, so they gave me, 3 or 4 pieces, give or take. I went to those individuals and then did it again and just went to those COIs, whoever they directed me to, and said, hey, Mr. CPA, I heard your name from this estate planning lawyer. Did the whole spiel that Bryan Gallery said. I tried to keep it as tight to 15 minutes as I could. Of course, they don't know that, but I'm trying to keep it that tight or told them about it, but they don't, they're not on the same page I am, but the speed. And of course, it goes over a little bit. So I would cut them off, say, hey, like my 15 minutes is up. I just want to hear about you and get out of here because I need to know what you do. I want to make sure, when I get a good reference to you, I want to kind of hear what you're about. And well, I'll have business comes up. And so I want to keep you in mind. And if they were good, I would leave it with, hey, great, can I come back and see you in a quarter, right? And do it again. And so we were over 20 minutes about every meeting, but I was trying to get out the door most of the times. And they, when you start asking them about them, want to tell you, and they'll tell you a lot about it. So that was good. But again, started with 3 COIs that I already knew that were somewhat warm to me and immediately asked for 3 or 4 more if they could give me. And I just said, hey, if you're an estate planning lawyer, who's a good divorce attorney or probate lawyer or a good CPA? And if you're a CPA, I asked all the other reverse questions of that. Hey, who's somebody who does this or a fractional CFO guy or something, and they would know. So that led me into, I've got 15 names. I've already met with 6 of these people outside of the first 3 I told you about. So 9 total. And I've got one today and I've got another one pending for later this week or next week. So that's kind of what I've just started with. And I haven't gone to clients. I have a few clients that don't have, or they have CPAs and lawyers. I don't know that well. I just know who they are. And so that'll be my next pitch is those clients figuring out how to connect with their folks. So that's kind of what I've done. Again, nothing's churned yet, but several of them said, yes, I'm looking to refer. I didn't use the word refer. I tried not to use that in the meeting, but I said, who do you work with from a financial advisor standpoint when your clients have a need? And they told me who those people potentially were. And some of them said, I don't directly give names out. I just give them a list of 3 people. And I said, okay. And then some other ones were, we're looking to actually partner with someone to make sure we have our clients taken care of. So you're going to uncover that through these people I don't know telling me this information. So went well, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. And so I have some follow up to do and just trying to get 3 a week to go meet with at this point. But Bryan Gallery's thing was you start with a few, you get to 120, and then you narrow it down to a few that will refer to you. You can start with a few clients and kind of work through their professional network. And so I started with 3 professionals and COIs, and I've gotten 15-ish and I'll try and expand that as far as it'll go within the area and narrow it down to, 4 or 5 that will refer. So that's what I got.
Nice. Very good. Awesome. And as folks are sharing, if anyone has a question too, for anyone that's sharing, by all means, like keep this conversational. But that's great to see already, get that kind of momentum, Peyton.
Bryan, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is David Dunn. Peyton, I'm just curious, your initial contact with the CPA or attorney, is it by email? Are you calling up? Are you doing Zoom? Like, what's the first contact with the person that you've been referred to?
Yeah, David, let me start with saying I'm a overthinker. Just kind of how I'm designed. I overthink too much. So I had to rip that Band-Aid off and said, I'm not doing the overthinking thing. I'm just going to call. So I called all of them so they could hear a voice, ideally. So I just, one down in the lower part, Lawrence County, a little lower than us, 45 minutes south of us. I called. I said, I don't know these people from Adam. I'm just going to call. So every single one of them I called. If I couldn't get a call and I had an email, I would then turn around and email them and say, hey, you left your voicemail. This is my reason for calling. So I hit them on both ends if I couldn't get them on one or the other. And that was kind of my approach. I'm just going to start with the voice. They can at least hear me, and then I'll follow with the email.
Gotcha. Thank you. Good job.
All right, let's hear for some ops folks. I mean, we've heard from 4 advisors. I know we had an amazing ops track on Monday. Takeaway, action item, Bueller, anyone?
I can go. So one part of the ops track, one of the sessions that really stood out to me is we were talking about job descriptions, and we all sat down and we kind of took our job and we wrote down everything that we do under our role. And then we were told, like, this really is your job description. And one thing that we talked about is, like, if somebody is out of the office, the best way to kind of fill those gaps. And instead of just assigning one person as backup, where essentially that person is in charge of covering not only their entire role, but then somebody else's role, really taking that job description for the person that's going to be out and divvying it up that way. And that way, if there's somebody that, wants to try something new or is interested in learning something new, then they can say, oh, this person's going to be out. I'd like to give this specific role a try, or this specific task a try, or learn more about it. Then not only is the role being covered while they're out, but it gives other people on the team a chance to just try something new and expand their knowledge. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I'll go. So one of my biggest takeaways was, what was the lady's name? Julie Simmons, last name Simmons. She did a presentation about the multi-generational communication styles, and I really appreciated maybe learning how to communicate with my team better. I think I'm one of 3 Gen Xers. That's up for debate, I think, with Bryan potentially on our team, and just like learning maybe how I could soften the way I communicate with some of the people who are younger in my office. I had a really good takeaway there. And then also I'll echo what Abby said about, like, the job description, being able to list out what I do on a regular basis. I found that challenging. And then the lady who did the presentation, I think it was Jen. Wasn't it Jen? I'm struggling to remember the people's names. When we listed it out, I was like, oh, here's like 15 tasks that I do on a regular basis. And then later that night, I was able to think of more things that I would put on there. Fortunately, I took a picture of the tasks that were there. So when it comes time for me to write my job description, I'll be able to do it. But yeah, those are my good takeaways. So thanks.
Bryan, am I allowed to share since I wasn't there?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, so got the whole team together yesterday discussing how we're using AI in our business, and learned that everybody is using it to different tools to different degrees. So we have all decided to set up our own little mini AI task force just to identify, what tools are going to give us the highest bang for our buck and how to use them. And the goal is to, save everybody on our team at least 1 hour a week by using AI.
Hey, Greg, this is Jordan Roberts calling you back from yesterday. How are you? Good, good. Y'all make it to Greenville in one piece?
Jordan, you're not mute. Hold on. Someone mute Jordan.
I muted him.
All right, thank you.
So, and then the other thing we're doing is just we're looking at our sales and communication process with clients and how it was dependent on 1 or 2 people, and we just revised it so that it's more time-based. This action is going to happen, and 5 days later, this next thing is going to happen, and if that needs to be postponed or changed, then it's incumbent upon the first person. So it'll make it streamlined, and it'll just save a lot of back and forth. So those are 2 of the big systems and processes initiatives that we've taken and are implementing.
Sweet. Thank you, Chris. And for those of you that did not attend the summit, like I know Chris was unable to attend. For those of you that did not attend, the videos will be available. There is a charge for them because it cost us to record them, but it's only $279. It's not a lot for all of that content, and you get the operational and advisor content as well. So if you came, if you came to the thing, you're going to get the videos as well. You can, review and have access to them as long as you want. So, all right. Sweet. Who else wants to share? Come on. We got 15 more minutes here on the agenda. And I know there's got to be more great takeaways and kind of action items.
I can share quick. We started to apply the Joe Lucas thing about the Google reviews. So we're asking our clients through our annual reviews to put in a Google. So I think we're up to 12 or 15 now.
Yeah,
nice. Some progress there. And then the marketing one, we're looking at hiring a marketing firm starting next week. So that's going to be a big commitment, but just trying to refine our value proposition, our website, and that everything is congruent, and then getting measurements on that. So those are kind of our big takeaways. And I loved what Bryan said too about get to the know, and that's the whole psychological thing. When you get a no, move on, and that's been good too.
I loved his mindset about like get to the know, because a lot of times it's like you think next and whatever and this and that, and you kind of like do this or whatever. But I loved his mindset. It was like, hey, that's great, because I can't, like, I'm only one person. I can't work with everyone anyway. So you just saved me a ton of time, and now I'll keep looking for someone that I can work with. And that was just such a cool mind shift for me. Nobody likes being told no, right? But yeah.
And we've been trying to change people's minds, and that's such like pushing the rock uphill. So now it's such a relief to say, okay, they said no, let's get to the next one, instead of trying to keep pushing up against inertia. So that was great.
Good. It's awesome. And just so you all know, like, when you hear Joe talk about the website and having all that congruent in the marketing company, but Stewardship does not have a brick and mortar. They don't have a physical office, and they run an amazing practice and pretty much do it virtually and travel to different markets and do amazing events and meetings with their clients. It's really, they really have a pretty cool business model. And so anyway, that's great to hear, Joe. Come on, someone's got something.
I have a question for everyone, if that's okay.
Sure.
Do y'all have a first client meeting, like PowerPoint presentation that you share with your clients when they first meet with you? Because I think when I work for a big firm, I really relied on that. And now I'm just kind of like, being myself and asking them questions. But just wondering what everybody's doing. So I think Brian, yeah, I really enjoyed coming to the summit. Thank you. Just hearing, I think, sharing ideas and hearing everyone's best practices is nice. But I've been busy since I got back, so I got inspired by Peyton's, sharing just now. So I think I need to call a couple of CPAs. But I've been.
Oh, Katrina, you just muted your line. Something just, yeah, unmute your line real quick. I don't know what happened.
Okay,
There you
thank
go.
But yeah, I've been trying to make my marketing, my website also a little better. But okay, sorry, going back to my question. Yeah, like Joseph, do you have a presentation?
Yeah, Katrina, we used to have a huge
Mhm.
presentation and talk about ourselves
Okay.
all the time. And then I went to CEG and they said, stop, just ask. Like we have 61 questions now and it's 100% focused on them. And they leave the meeting thinking we're the smartest people on earth because we've showed them so much interest and asked about their story. So it's revolutionized our closing rate and it's all focused
Okay.
on questions. The questions, questions, questions. And the questions are so important to really draw them out.
Right.
And once they feel seen and heard, they start hugging us with their eyes, and then we know it's good. So I really encourage you to just really focus on quality questions and build that client profile so you know what their pain points are, and then you're just ready to walk in because a lot of
Right.
advisors will talk about themselves and people want to talk about themselves. They want to tell you their story.
Right. So, right, I agree with you, but are you presenting anything on your computer, or I guess it doesn't matter, right? Because you're just making
Nothing.
eye
It's all
contact.
focused on
Okay.
them. Then when they
Okay.
come back, then we
Hmm.
repeat what we've done and then we show them a little bit about us, but again, it's all about them. People
Okay.
don't care about us. They don't want to know how smart we
Yeah.
are. They want to know that we heard them. And once we got over that, it was so liberating because it's so true. They don't even want to know what the investments are. They don't want to know the beta. They want to know that we know and that we
Mm.
understand them. So it's been
Okay.
really
I'd love
freeing
to
for
hear how
us.
you do yours. If you're okay, I'll contact you later.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other, so just, we can park on that. We just got a little bit of time here. We can park on that for a minute. Any thoughts around Katrina's question and what Joe just shared? Or, in terms of how anyone does their initial meetings with folks?
I always try, like, I heard somebody talking about getting to know. I always like to try to get them to know, to disqualify themselves, because it'll save so much time and follow up and determine whether or not they're just hunting for free information, and really find out why did you come talk to me? Like, what's the problem? What's the problem you're trying to solve? What have you done in the past that didn't work? And what's the cost if you don't solve that problem? And if they can't answer those questions, then they're not going to move forward because they're not clear. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think I'll just say this and then we can kind of go back to if there's any other takeaways. But I couldn't agree with Joe more about making the initial thing about them, not only asking great questions, repeating back to them the things that they tell you. Um, if they're leaning forward in their chair and got their hands on a table, then you're leaning forward in your chair and you've got your hands on the table and mirroring them and talking at the same speed that they're talking. I mean, these are things that make people feel comfortable. And, again, no one's going to remember what you say. They're just going to remember how they feel. I mean, for those of us on the call that go to church on Sunday, I can bet you right now, today's Tuesday, if I asked you what the preacher spoke about last Sunday and his message, you half of you might remember it. Most of you won't, but you'll remember how you felt when you were at church on Sunday. I can tell you that. And it's the same thing when we meet with people. And people really do like talking about themselves. It's just we're all wired that way. It's part of our human nature. So, but thank you, Katrina, and thank you for that great question. Anyone else here? And we can always end this early, but I want to feel like there's still some more folks here on the call. Any other just big takeaways, or you know, anything that you're just in the process of implementing or thinking about, or that you can share as well.
I'll say one more thing. I'm gonna double dip. I consistently think it's great for us to come together and meet people that we haven't necessarily already met. I do a lot of work onboarding on the technical side, advisors that are across the country. And so when I get to actually experience them in person, it is a game changer. Sam Perel was one of them. I'm calling him out. I don't know if he's on the call, but we had only had this relationship on the screen, right? And so when I was actually able to like encounter him in person, he's pleasant, he's great on the screen, but seeing him in person was just a complete and total game. Like just experiencing people is phenomenal. And so I don't think you can replicate that virtually. So I just think I would be remiss if I did not say that. That's it.
I have one more quick request too. We're in the process of segmentation after part of this delivery, and we've got like at least 70 families that shouldn't be on the bus. And we're trying to figure out how to get them off eloquently, because we love these people, have relationships with them, many been for years, but it's comical how little revenue they're bringing in. Some are less than $200. Obviously they should not be clients. So we've got to get this process done in a good way. And I don't know if anybody has experience packaging. Like we could put 50 clients together and sell them, or get another person to take them, or I don't know. We're just looking at the different ways to communicate this, and I think people understand our costs have gone up, and it's not a good fit anymore. So either they can go on their own, they can go to another advisor. Anyway, we're just working through that whole process. So if someone has advice or experience with that, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I just fired a bunch of clients this year, and I framed it as my costs are going up and we would have to charge you more rates that in order for you to meet our minimum fees, we'd have to charge you rates that legally we couldn't charge you. So we'll help you find a new home. But if otherwise we're just going to delink from your account and you can manage it yourself. And I didn't get any, I think we got maybe one or two phone calls with some questions, but everybody was like, hey, we totally understand. Thanks. Appreciate you. There's no hard feelings.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And I'll happy to share the letter if you want me to send it to you. So
yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think packaging that, like, unprofitable clients, I don't know who's going to buy, like, hey, I've got these 50 unprofitable clients. Who wants to buy this book of business? I don't know who's going to step in and pay for that, but I would say that, yeah, again, this gets back to that elimination thing, right? I know I've met with a couple parallel advisors as well, and a couple of FA advisors on this topic about segmenting and really getting your book right-sized and really just eliminating some of the folks out there. And I think look, we're all good people on this call. First of all, you're not going to be at Fiduciary if you're not a good person. Our due diligence, we don't bring on advisors here that are egotistical, self-centered jerks, right? So you want to help people, you want to take care of them, you want to, I think we all come from a good place in that. But the reality is we're not a charity. And I think a lot of times we don't do enough to really look at, and this is something that for 2026, I'm going to try to really help you on, the advisors, and something is really honing down, like, okay, here's my revenue, right? Here are my costs. Yeah, here are my A clients, here are my B clients. Like, know your numbers, right? So not only knowing what your revenue that you're getting for these folks, but let's get your expenses in here as well, right? What is your break even? How much are you really making on these clients, right? This client that you're meeting with 3 times a year, this and that, like, taking your hourly rate, popping that in there. And I think what you would find is you're helping people, but you're operating as a charity, and nobody's giving you charitable contributions to do what you do. There's nobody out there doing it. So then then you have clients that are subsidizing these other clients that you're helping. And that's not fair to them, right? Because they've got more, they're creating more revenue, which is allowing you to take care of these unprofitable clients, which means they're paying you more money and getting less of a service because your time's being stretched with these other clients that are out there. And that's not good. That's not good for them. So you're really having a good heart, you're really dropping your fiduciary responsibility to the clients that you really need to be focused on. And I think this is a big deal for all of us in here. When we think about this, I suffer from this tremendously because I do want to help everyone. And I think we're all on this call are kind of in that same boat. So, so this is something we're definitely going to be talking about a lot more. And I don't know, maybe we can have a follow-up call just around segmentation and how to offload clients and what are some options out there and things like that. Because, look, you don't have to necessarily kick people to the curb either. There are younger advisors, there are younger folks that, maybe can take some of this business and potentially, use it as a foundation to start growing on and things like that. So there are some options potentially out there. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, also people that are complete brain damage to deal with. I mean, they can be profitable, but man, if you cringe every time the phone rings and it's them, I mean, either reset the relationship or part ways because life's too short.
Yeah. So excellent. All right. Well, thank you all for kind of participating in this. And so